Good afternoon, folks. Hi, Phil McPhail with United Country Lifestyle Properties of Maine. I want you to join me today. I'm going to look at a property on the Piscataquis River in the town of Maxfield. Before we go, I wanted to show you the work that was done here in the town of Howland at the end of the Piscataquis River where it enters the Penobscot. For years, there's been a water dam here that has blocked most of the fish migration up this river. And a number of years ago, the state and a number of organizations got together and they built this bypass around the dam, and it's beautiful. It's what a salmon would look for when they're coming upriver, is this fast-moving water, little rocks scattered through it. Looks like a natural channel. So they opened this up. So this is the Piscataquis River in the town of Howland, my hometown, by the way. And for those of you who have seen it on the internet where they say it's the ugliest town in the state of Maine, I don't know where they got that from. I grew up here. I've always loved this town. Rivers, we got two rivers here, Penobscot and the Piscataquis. We're going to take a ride about 5 or 6 miles up the river to the town of Maxfield and look at a really beautiful 2.38 acre lot. Stick around, we're going to show you the river up there, all of the property features. Let's go. We've arrived over here at the property in Maxfield now, and the property does start right here on the town line. Let's talk a little bit about the town of Maxfield. Population here is 89 according to the last census, so it's a very rural town. We're about 6 miles from I-95 and the service town of Howland. Lincoln is about 18 miles north of us here, and it has a hospital, restaurants, and major grocery chains. The city of Bangor, just 38 miles, a little over a half-hour drive. Once you hit 95, 75 miles an hour most of the way there, perfect. City of Portland, about 170 miles, 2.5-hour ride. And Boston is less than 4 hours and 15 minutes right from this property. We're out here on the road still here in Maxfield, and the town line is right here. The sign's here. The pin for the property is right over there. This lot has been surveyed, 2.38 plus or minus acres. We've got 200 feet along River Road here. And as you can see, we have power and telephone. Power's overhead, underground phone here. A couple other things I want to show you. Come down the road here a couple of feet. And this has already been set. We've got a Department of Transportation driveway entrance permit, and that can be constructed right here between these two stakes you can see going on the land. As we come onto the land, it's a very smooth, level lot. And we also have a septic design. So we'll step into the woods and we'll show you the location for that. Right next to the town line here, we've got the soil designer's benchmark. And it's in this big balsam fir, which is right next to the town line. You can see the stake on the other side of it. As we come in here to the woods, we'll see these corner stakes right here. We've got a leach field that's been laid out right in this section right here. So these 4 stakes, as you come into the woods, this signifies where the leaching field would need to be. We've got some beautiful forest in here. I believe this was pasture when I was a kid, if I remember right. Maybe, yeah, probably that long ago, probably a little longer ago than that. But we do have a lot of white pine in this section. There's a 250-foot setback requirement from the river, unless you want to work out something with the town. So you're going to be building back in here, just the other side of where the septic field is. So we've kind of looked over this nice building site out here near the road. As we get down to the river, we're going to take a walk down there now. Keep in mind the river is in flood stage, actually, after Hurricane Lee and another major rain following that. The river is up about 5 feet vertically. So you're going to get to see, kind of where the flood level will be. We're well above that here. Part of this property does include a Logan, which is kind of a backwater that comes in along the frontage. We can get by that on the west side of the property as we're heading down the river, and that's where we're going to walk to next. So there's pretty good access to the water along this western boundary. So let's go for a walk and go check that out. We're on our way down now through the woods here to get to the river, and just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Piscataquis River. I grew up on the river, right in the town of Howland, as we talked about earlier. And this river is about 65 miles long once it comes together in the town of Blanchard. The east and west branch come together there and form the main stem that runs by this property here. And you'll notice as we're walking through here, there's a lot of older growth trees, but we've got a lot of dead ones on the ground. This Hasn't had any timber harvesting ever that I'm aware of. So a lot of the trees are starting to fall over. But there's plenty of large trees left. And if you a little bit of cleanup in here, you could have a really almost like park-like setting around these big mature pines and some of these bigger hardwoods down near the river. So we're going to follow this down. This is a little creek bed that runs along the west boundary. And you'll notice that if you're in here looking at it, that creek bed runs on and off the property as we're walking down towards the river. And that runs into the river right next to the boundary marker. We're going to look at that next. We've made it down to the river now on the western boundary, and I'm sitting on a tree that decided to fall on our property pin. It's actually right behind this tree, 1 inch from this blew over, I'm guessing, in Hurricane Lee, big old red oak. So the frontage here is about 349 feet straight line along the riverbank. As you can see behind me, we got a nice flow of water. It's not a rapid, but it's a pretty good moving flow. With low water, we got some ledges out here that you can walk out on and fish off of, and some deeper pools in between the ledges. Great place to swim. When the water goes down, the current really calms down in those pools, so it'd be very good swimming here. This river is well known as a smallmouth bass fishery. I think a lot of people that come up here that fish it understand that. They'll put boats in and howling and come up the river for miles fishing this. But what a lot of people don't know is also there's some pretty nice trout and salmon fishing in places in here. If you find a spring-fed stream running in, or a nice set of ledges with springs rolling out of that, you want to stop and cast your line in there, and you might be surprised and find a pretty nice brook trout laying in one of those holes. Now that we're down here on the river, let's talk about what you might want to use this property for. Obviously, it's a great recreational opportunity with the water here, but it'd be a good place to put up an RV spot, and that the previous owner, that's what he was planning to do with this. Park your camper here, haul it back and forth when you want to come to Maine. You can build your cabin here, maybe a year-round home out near the road. Lots of things you could do, maybe even a glamping facility here with Airbnb rental with some pretty cool yurts or tents. So that might be a good use for this property. There's not a whole lot of restrictions in this small town. You just got to talk to the code enforcement officer, and they'll set you right up with whatever it is you are trying to accomplish. What else can you do from this location? Well, this is a pretty centrally located property here in the state, in an area that's pretty rich with recreational opportunities. We've got Baxter State Park, about an hour from here. The Penobscot River, which the Piscataquis is a tributary of, is just 5 miles downstream from our location right here in Maxfield. So you can go down the town of Howland, and there's a beautiful boat landing there. You can put in almost any size boat within reason for a river. What else? We got Katahdin Iron Works, Joe Mary Country, KI Gulf Haggis, if you've ever heard that, in the Grand Canyon of Maine. That's about a 33-mile ride to the KI gate from this property. Coldstream Pond, deep spring-fed pond here in central Maine. That's 11 miles from here. Great place to do some boating, fish for lake trout and landlocked salmon. Schoodic Lake, twice the size of Coldstream at nearly 7,200 acres, is almost 200 feet deep, and that's 20 miles from this location. So you can do a lot of things. You can get to Bangor quick. You can go recreate in the North Maine woods within an hour or so. I don't know what more you could look for on a property for recreation, year-round use, and you can get to all of these things very easily. Hey, thanks for coming along on this tour of this 2.38 acre lot here in the town of Maxfield. Before we wrap up the video with all the terms, please like this video, share it with some friends, and don't forget, if you've been watching us for a while or you're brand new, hit that subscription button down there in the bottom and put on all notifications. That way you won't miss the next video that we put out. So let's talk about the terms of this offering. This property is priced at $55,000. We don't have the taxes as of today. I'm waiting for the town office, which is only open a few hours a week, to get back to me with that accurate information. If we get it before the video gets published, it'll be over here on the screen. This property has 200 feet of paved road frontage. It's got electric and phone at the roadside. We've got a septic system designed. Survey is in place. DOT entrance permit to put your driveway in. And my seller's even got some estimates for that. They're probably not still valid, but we can give it to you and you'll have some idea what it might cost you to develop the site. Give me a call, 800-286-6164. Ask for Phil. Come on up today and take a look at this property with me.